Thank
Uh,
you, sir.
I want to congratulate you for making that readership. I know what it takes. I know we've been there. I know we continue the mentoring. But let
Thank
me
you,
also
Prof.
thank you for validating what we have always talked about and what the former vice chancellor is noted for, despite vying to the education science or whatever. His first homeland, his origin is the humanities, is the arts. And the root of our methodology is ethnography. You have claimed to have gone to the field to collect oral information, but you should, maybe in your response to Professor Abdallah's comment, you will tell us your engagement on the field rather than, I don't believe you did a armchair ethnographic methodological perspective. In other words, read newspapers, send those boys and girls into the field while you sit in that, nice hotel somewhere in Gariki or, what have you. So you have validated ethnographic methodology, which is good. It also implies that
Thank you, Prof.
we must, at the national level, and as we teach, our pedagogy, whether we're in the sciences, in education, in what have you, must be interdisciplinary because the validation of the use of ethnographic methodology is an indication of the shortcomings, the great shortcomings in Nigerian educational system of crying and drumming about STEM, STEM, STEM. Without the H, we cannot survive as a nation. I stand to be corrected, but you have done that today, and I commend you.
Thank you,
On the
Prof.
PowerPoint, please, is something that we've repeated. Not only your PowerPoint, I was only seeing, like others, I believe, your head, just your glasses and up. I wasn't sure whether that was you. So all of these are part of what the Mr. and Mrs. Wong and Wong in their book, The First Day of Class, noted preparation, preparation, preparation. And on that note, I commend you and commend the center for continuing the good work. Thank you. God bless you.
Prof, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much, Prof. Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
contribution. I thought I mentioned your name, but I always mention because you are there at my right hand. Right hand. Thank you very much, Prof, for your contribution. I want even before I noticed it at all. So I'm sorry if I didn't notice your hand up on time. So over to you, sir, for your contribution, and then followed by Professor Sadiq. Okay, so over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity.
Suji, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to talk. First of all, I want to commend Dr. Dixon for his courage in venting into this area. As a matter of fact, mentioning Zamfara State instills fears on people, and going into having research in that area is the courage. So I commend you for that.
Thank
But
you, Prof.
I want to find out. Professor Abdallah was talking about the participants, and I want to go into that and say, your population. You didn't mention anything about your population, the population you used before you got your samples, and you said you used the purposive sampling to select your participants. So what is the population? You didn't define the population very well so that anybody will not be in doubt as to the people you met. And then you used interviews. what type of instrument did you use for these interviews? Is it structured interview? Is it open, unstructured interview, schedule? So we want to know the type of instrument you use for the interview, and then the validity and reliability of that interview schedule or the instrument you used. So I want to know how you developed the interview schedule, and then the validity and the reliability. And then on the other hand, I think whenever you talk about banditry, there is always people who are displaced as a result of banditry, and even the gun running, the small arms, and so on and so forth. So I would have thought that you relate this banditry situation in Zamfara state to migration, because people migrate, people leave their comfort zone from that area and migrate to towns and other villages and to IDP camps and so on and so forth. So I would have wished you relate that to migration, which is the most, which the Center of Excellence is all about. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, sir. So we are now listening to Sadiq. Over to you, sir.
All right. Good morning, everyone, sir. Good morning, ma. It's a great privilege for me to participate in this meeting. Ma, you addressed me as Professor Sadiq. I take that as a prayer because currently I'm not a professor yet. Thank you so much, ma.
You are professor.
I'm not a professor yet. I pray I become one.
Yes, it's for you.
Thank
Claim
you.
it.
Thank you. God bless you. Now, I have my question in two forms. The first form is this. There is, in every research project like this, we always have empirical studies that will show us the past works that have been done in the area being discussed. I think I expected the presenter to show us those works, at least a few of them that have been done in this area before this one was conducted. Yeah, that's it. The second area that I expected to hear, actually, I can't tell if it is done that way or not, but let me just say it as a recommendation. Is an area that we all know that every research work is meant to address a problem. It's meant to bring about a solution. So, just like we have this good research work now, who are those, or let me say, who are the authorities that are supposed to have these research outcomes? I want to know, who are them? Who are those people that are supposed to have this research work so that they can put this work into use? It is when this is used to address the issue we are discussing that we can then say this research has really achieved its objectives. So I want to know the authorities that this work is supposed to be given to. And if actually that has been done in the past, please, I want this presenter to indicate it. Has this research work go to any authority for implementation? Please, that's my two ideas that I want to put forward. Thank you so much for the opportunity again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think the last hand up is that of Professor Akim. So after Professor Akim, Dr. Igwe will respond. Then if there are others, then we take them. Over to you, Professor Akim.
Okay, thank you very much. I thank Dr. Igwe for this interesting research and eloquent presentation. And in support of previous comments from Professor Abdallah, comment from Professor Tijani, comment from Professor Suji and the last speaker. So there's a trend, and that trend will take us to the topic of Dr. Dixon's research. Currently, the topic is too bulky. It has a lot of words that can be pruned down, and I'm suggesting that the topic should be rephrased as the consequences of banditry and possession, not proliferation, possession of small arms and light weapons in Zamfara state. So, because the focus of the research is basically on banditry, the context that creates it, and how that extends to proliferation of small arms and light weapons. So that's clear. The focus of the research is clear. But Professor Abdallah is asking a lot of interesting questions, which I think will strengthen the outcome if Dr. Dixon is able to incorporate some of the ideas suggested by Professor Abdallah into the paper. So that will now bring out the consequences of banditry and possession of small arms and light weapons in Zamfara state. So that way, the title will be more clinical and articulate. Then secondly, can we look at the theoretical framework? I think there is need for inclusion of anomy theory and differential association theory, in addition to the current theory that Dr. Dixon is using, because in his findings, Dr. Dixon clearly pointed out the lawlessness, the normlessness, the anomic situation in that locale, in that research setting, the situations that weaken the enforcement, the situation that weaken the regulatory framework under which the banditry is now flourishing. So the banditry is flourishing as a result of the relative breakdown of law and order, inability of the mechanism of social control to hold sway. So, and I think anomy theory will clearly explain that. And also, why am I recommending differential association theory? Dr. Dixon needs to tell us how an individual will become a bandit. Possibly there will be some recruitment mechanism through which some criminal gang who are already into banditry, possibly for reasons best known to them, which could be economic, which could be political, or what have you. So there's likely to be association or a network that is providing a kind of pathways into banditry, because another individual may not succeed in becoming a bandit. Maybe the person needs to be trained, maybe the person needs to be recruited, maybe the person needs to be initiated or indoctrinated, as the case may be. So the theory of differential association, we explain that. So I want Dr. Dixon to consider that. And given that this is a qualitative study, so the norms, the code of different criminal gangs, especially those criminal gangs that are promoting banditry. And of course, it's important for us to know the consequences in order to be able to find what should be the lasting solution. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof, for your contribution. Now we hand over to the presenter to make his own response to these very many questions, starting from first to last. Thank you so much.
Yes, Prof, thank you so much. I want to especially, from the depth of my heart, appreciate all these great eggheads that had intervened by way of stimulating my awareness and then also connecting me to the path that will make this research paper more robust, you know. So I start from my amiable Professor Abdallah, my former Vice Chancellor, a great mentor to me. I cannot thank you enough, sir. Thank you so very much. You were on the saddle when this house was under construction. And now the house is built by the grace of God. I want to appreciate you and your then management for ensuring that my PhD did not suffer setbacks. Thank you for this input today. So, but I want to start from responding to your question of the matrix, the definition, conceptual definition of what small arm and light weapon stands for. In this context, like I said, what the topic said, contextual issues. The context of the consideration of these small arms and the light weapon is what the local reality that produce this scourge. And so what we discovered there was that hunting, being a very historical endeavor in almost all African society, not with any exception in this context, has actually been fed with the activities of the blacksmiths, who on themselves produces these small weapons. It's also the work of these bandits who, from hunting into bandits, and then from bandits into production or trafficking of guns. Whether we call it den guns or we call it smaller pistols, but largely the configuration of these kind of guns here before now were the artisan produced guns, originally meant for hunting, originally meant for the festivity that is peculiar to this environment. In fact, in the paper itself, all these are captured. There's festivity that the chiefs there, you know, the oligarchs there uses these guns to demonstrate strength in a festive way. But this demonstration of strength as a component of the festivity has also left some youth to think that owning a gun is not just is not criminal, but also kind of cultural thing, you know. So until the proliferation of other forms of arms, that the incapacity of security system has led to, you know, like some corrupt law enforcement agents, you know, who trade on that. Like you mentioned, those big middlemen who carry out the dirty jobs for their big bosses, they can afford to get not just the den gun to offset those carriers of den gun, but they go for the sophisticated arms, you know, in order to sway out the dominance of these people who are using the smaller guns. So the sophistication in the composition of these guns the product of these external bodies who are sponsoring or funding banditry or violence or opposition crackdown, in this area. So that's what we discovered, and is contained in the larger research and even in the papers. But because of time, I will not be capturing all those information. But then the other issue of the typology is addressed by the same observation that we made there. And I felt that it is a security risk to take a snap of those 10 guns that were shown to us, while in the field. So, and we were warned strictly that we must keep the ethics of confidentiality and all of that. So, and because this is a qualitative research, we cannot afford to infract in that promise or in that confidence that they reposed on us. That is why we are not displaying the typology of the guns, like we are displaying the settlement and the interview scenery. So, and again, the political economy of violence in this area, to be honest, is you captured it correctly, because it's a booming underground business, underground trade. There are bigger boys or bigger interests that are funding the whole violence just in order to secure and contain any kind of restriction and opposition to mining. And the dominant in the underpinning of violence and banditry there is mining, properly speaking, And this is the fact that the state agencies seem to be helpless about that which is going on there, has in fact, and particularly for the state even to have closed their own mining sites, sends a message of incapacity to the indigenous, the locals that own those spaces. So that is why the confidence that they ought to have in the capacity of the state to control and regulate this operation became nosedived. So there are some people also that we interviewed that told us that there are violent entrepreneurs too in that very system. These people create trouble, create uncertainty, just to scare people out of their own original homes, their space. And so people run away from their own homes or land they own because of a threat to their life and to their existence. So all these are the things that fuel the whole trouble in those zones. And then the power play thing is another macro segment that generates this whole conflict. The power play is between entrenched interests there and the vested interests. These entrenched interests are those generals, those big corporations, those foreign interests, and all of that. Their interests have been entrenched there to subdue and subvert the vested interest within that. The vested interest here I define as the locals, those who originally owned this space as indigenous land. So the entrenched interests are coming to displace the vested interest just to have their way and access the mineral resources. And then the issue you raise about the criminology in the study is this whole issue of law enforcement, incapacity. The law enforcement has been seen there as salvaging the interest of the entrenched interest, not of the vested. So by way of the reason of the paper there, the criminology there is that why should law be only out to prosecute the vested interest and not the entrenched interest? So law that should salvage and ensure rule of law is now being kind of assessed. You know, justice to this law is kind of trade by barter for the highest bidder. So this is the point where criminology come in to demonstrate that it is criminogenic for law to be for the highest bidder instead of punishing criminals because they have committed crime. The law is punishing conformants, those who are law-abiding, because they do not have power and the economic strength to contest or contend with the infraction of their right. So the issue of arrest and prosecution, you mentioned, sir. We also will capture that in the major paper, because we did not take statistics of the crime statistics therein, you know, officially. But we hope that by the time we go back, because when we were in the field, the security agencies that we met, they were like, who are you? Where are you coming from? They were in between. They had mixed feelings in the sense that what we were asking for were purely classified information. So they said we have to go to AIG in charge of that area to get permission for them to release crime statistics for us. So that was one of the limitations we had carrying out this research. So I do not know if I have done justice to your observations, sir. Then I go to, okay. Yes, my director, like you want to you're about to intervene also. Should I continue?
You didn't say anything about the interview analysis. I think I mentioned, and somebody else mentioned it. I didn't hear your comment concerning it.
Yeah.
The thematic
yes, I was
analysis
just addressing Professor Abdallah's. Yes, I was just addressing Professor Abdallah's concern. I'm coming to that end. Then I want to appreciate the Professor Tijani for his own for the commendations, and I appreciate you, Professor. Then Professor Suji's intervention is well appreciated, and thank you so very much. Then the issue of population you talked about. In qualitative research, we do not go into the issue of reliability and validity of instruments. What we are interested in here is the research area, and having known the research area and drawing your participant sample using purposive sampling, it means that it's only, I stated it in the slide, that the issue of relevance is embedded in the choice of the research sampling techniques that I use, which is purposive. Purposive implies that only those whose knowledge or whose contribution is adjudged or assumed to be relevant to what we are talking about were considered. We didn't do quantitative research-related sampling techniques like random sampling, stratified sampling, or systematic sampling. So we were deliberate, because this is pure qualitative study. So purposive study sampling was what we used to delineate our research area into sample sizes. So we can as well say that the research area is where our population, from where we draw the sample rests. Then you talked about the structure of the interview schedules. Yeah, the structure of the interview schedules were both structured and unstructured interview schedules. Yeah, because we asked some specific questions that addressed the research question on the research gap, and then we also allowed for intervention to get other extraneous factors within the research question through some few unstructured questions, you know. So then you mentioned that we should relate banditry situation to migration. That is very, very acceptable, and that we will impute that, you know. Thank you so very, very much. Then another intervention from Dr. Sadiq. He talked about literature showing few works done in the area before this time. Yeah, for time and space, we could not bring up too many literature because the director strictly insisted that this is how slides should be. It should not be too wordy and all of that. So if you go through the work proper, the paper that I'm going to submit to the center, you find out that we did exhaustive literature review that gave us the gaps for which we climbed and planted our own topics. So you talked about recommendation, who benefits from it. Yes, the value of the outcome of this research, I mentioned it, that the further research, that is academics, the policy and law enforcement will benefit from it, society as well. If you get into the paper proper, you will also see details about who benefits from the research. Then finally, the next is the contribution from Professor Akinwale Akin. He talked about the topic being bulky and the need to be pruned down. That is perfectly accepted, my prof. Thank you very, very much. And I want to appreciate that insight that you have given me. I've already taken down your proposed replacement to be effected immediately after this work before I submit the paper for publication. Then the theoretical framework you recommended too, absolutely apt. In fact, I'm going to incorporate them and I'll make this work more robust. Thank you so very, very much. Then the interviews that my director mentioned first, we actually went to that Zamfara. You know, these two were, if you look at our composition, we have four researchers in all. And we could not be going there all together from Shinkafi, all of us would go to Zurmi. No, we shared it to ourselves and ensured separately. Then came back to put together our data so collected. But the various experiences we had are different from the two different locations, were all synergized, and some of them being the same and just repetition. So we coagulate those that are the same into one thought, and that was done in the course of the editing. So, but whether we visited those two local governments, we did visit them. And then who did we meet? Yes, we met those who are opinion leaders. You know, we met those who are professional, whether retired or serving, political office holders. Then we met law enforcement, few of them that obliged us interview. Then we met some retired generals too. You know, if like I will send my paper, you see the composition of the interviews we have. We noted all the people that we interviewed, their brief details. so that it actually accommodated. We ensured we are accommodated all the stakeholders in that areas. So I don't know if I have done justice to the various interventions.
Yes, thank you very much. You have done a lot, but there's a lot of discussion going on chat, on the chat. Thank God that this session is being recorded, so we'll be able to retrieve them for your use as the case may be. But somebody was saying you cannot answer, you cannot treat everything. That's Professor Kamal. Like this study cannot cover everything, such as political economy or economic or health implications of the arms or banditry, as suggested by a speaker. Professor Wambo said, Mr. now, Professor Wambo Mr. has some comments. Maybe we'll give him 1 second. Or then I think Professor Abdallah has some comments too. He said, precisely, so how does the small arms variable fit empirically into his research? I think he was asking that, and because Professor Hakim also wrote here, sir, possession of small arms and light weapons in the study, because bandits use arms and weapons as instruments to attack and self-defense. There are so many. Ebenezer Motors Shaw says, thank you for this insightful study. I would like to collaborate with you. My name is Ebenezer from the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology, University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, United States of America. So that would be a good one, because it will become international. So let's look at that. I can be reached via, he put his email there. But I would have appreciated, sir, Motors Shaw, if you put your phone number for WhatsApp that is so fast to communicate these days, if you don't mind. And so on and so forth. There are so many. Professor Brother said, Kaduna, Katsina, and Niger banditry is pure brigandage and brutality issue. Well, I think he mentioned that when he was talking. So there are so many. I don't want to take too much of our time, but the chat is quite busy. So you will need to go through. So I think is Professor Wambeze Unduka ready to talk to us? Unduka,
live and direct.
Okay, sir. Just one minute, because I know this is an interesting topic, so everybody wants to say one thing or the other. So 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Director. I may not use up to 1 minute. I'll just answer very quickly that Dr. Igwe was my student in his undergraduate and master's program at the University of Lagos. I think it's getting to time that some of us should retire. If I have foot soldiers like him, I think we have paid our dues, and people like this will be able to hold it forth. I congratulate you, Dr. Igwe, for this.
Thank you, Prof. Still lawyer. Your lawyer boy, sir.
Thank you, Director, for the opportunity. I have only 1 minute. The title, I mentioned it to you privately, that the title is rather nebulous. And one suggestion has been made, look at this other one. We can chop off as incentives to use by, we can chop that off.
Yes, sir.
And have the title as a criminological assessment of the contextual issues in banditry and proliferation of small arms, blah, 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 blah. I think that will unbundle the title. Okay? That's one.
Sir.
Two, I think that when Professor Abdallah said we should move from sociology to anthropology, you know where the gap is coming from. The gap comes from you not zeroing in very strongly on observation. That you were there. You were there. Okay? Ethnographers, what do? They were there. You speak to people. Okay? So you did not even highlight the importance of observation as one of the methods of data collection. Do that, And you'll be closing the gap between sociology and anthropology.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the land ownership system? Is it customary land ownership in those two local governments? Who owns the land? Because I guess those places are rural areas. I've been to Shinkafi, I haven't been to Zurmi, but I've been to Shinkafi and Issa. I know they are relatively rural areas. So what is the land use and ownership pattern in the place? You know, people are just coming from everywhere and just going into the land. What is, you mean is there no customary ownership? And then the Land Use Act 1978 vests all land in every state on the governor. Is the governor of Zamfara state sleeping? Doesn't he know that all the land in the state is vested on him? Or he is also one of the vested or entrenched interests? Because the governorship is there forever. Okay, so what is the state government doing about its ownership and possession of land, even in those areas? I think my 1 minute has expired. Let me stop there. Thank you, man.
Prof, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Prof, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure the researcher has noted those points. Very,
Yes,
very
yes,
useful. Am I seeing another hand up? Who is Sir Okelan?
I am here.
This time around, I give you half a minute.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Half a minute.
I'm proud to be on this section, and I am also proud to say Dr. Igwe is my mentor. This is an interesting topic he has here. And with my experience as a military officer retired 5 years ago, everything Dr. Adamu or whoever about Zamfara, what he said is correct. Military, there is no political will for now to end banditry in Nigeria because a lot of people are making money from it. But next time, I want to advise Dr. Igwe, and please take this note. Anytime you want to go for practical, just let me know so I can borrow you my jacket. I have that jacket to protect. Honestly, I'm serious about this stuff. I have a jacket that you need to use for the practical. Incidentally, sir, my doctor, I am proud to let you know that there's an establishment of National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons in Abuja under the National Security Advisor. Incidentally, the office is under the presidency, and I think we should pray that the president assents to the bill that established the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, which will have zonal officers and state coordinator. By the grace of God, I'm honored to be the coordinator for my state, because to collect all these illegal weapons is the primary aim of the federal government. Let me take you to memory lane quickly. Before 2014, before the election that brought Buhari in, there was about 10,000 illegal AK-47 in Nigeria. But after that, sir, because of Buhari adventure and how they came to power, that proliferation of arms has increased by almost 1,000%. As at that time, sir, you can buy AK-47 for 120,000 and be licensed for genuine reason. Now, it costs you almost $1 million to 1.2 million to procure one AK-47. That is officially if you are given license. But you know, as far as this country is concerned, one of the challenges of proliferation of arms is that you cannot see the person that said it arms to you. You will never know the person that said it to sell it to you. It will be from hand to hand before you eventually get it, and you will pay. You now use the number to collect the license. But the political will that I'm talking about, let me retreat a bit. There was a day we caught somebody who has AK-47 illegal. We thought he acquired it illegally. By the time we probed further, before the area commander in my village, we now discover a senator of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Safi, presently got him the certificate. He has a certificate for the AK-47, which is not normal. And there's nothing the area commander can do. He has to allow him to go. So the politicians themselves are behind these challenges we are facing. And as criminologists, what we can do is to always submit our subjection, our findings to the power that be, because a lot of people are dying because the illegal arms in Nigeria are so enormous. There are so many that it's very difficult to track them. Even the civilized state like America, people that has arms, they know those who got the license because it's electronically processed by each state, and they will be able to trace who has this particular weapon or the other. So, Dr. Igwe, I'm very happy with this, your subject, and I always continue to be your student, and I always like you continue to be my mentor, because the area of interest, like I said earlier on my one-on-one discussion with you earlier, as your PhD student, is that I like your way, and most of the areas you are definitely into is terrorism, and I believe in anti-terrorism fight, which is my crime, which is one of the courses I did, and that is one of my call in the army, crime prevention. How do we prevent crime? Government has a lot of input to play, like the sociological aspect of crime that all of us know. Until we do this, crime in Nigeria cannot reduce. Government has a lot of role to play. And most of the suggestions you are making, government should always work on them. It's the best way we can fight crime. With the proliferation of Nigeria, is difficult to
thank you.
God bless.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Lato. I know that if we give you time, we will not leave here today. Sorry, we have to cut it short. Thank you so much for your contribution. I think, let me quickly remind us on this Zoom that we have a platform, the Center of Excellence platform for our virtual group, which I think almost everybody here is on that platform. So we can please continue this discussion because it's very interesting. It's opened. I have enabled everyone to be able to contribute to it. The slide has been posted there, so we can continue discussing, about different things on that platform concerning this topic for today. So please feel free to ask questions there. And if you are not on that platform, you may want to ask Dr. Igwe, who I know is on that platform. I know Professor Hakim is on that platform, if you have his number. Aneto, who is talking, is on that platform. Professor Tijani, and so many of us here. So please let us try to connect and continue this conversation on that platform. And having said that, I want to say a big thank you to the presenter of today and everyone that has made it very, very interesting and robust, because these contributions will make this research robust and I'm sure internationally relevant when the researcher puts everything together. So, and somebody from USA is already asking that they collaborate. So it's a beautiful one. And these are the kind of things we want to see on this platform. We encourage those of you who have not had an opportunity to be here to request. We are out there. We welcome you. And when you look at the chat box, our social media handles are all there, how you can reach us. So you don't have any problem reaching us because we are very visible online in social media handles. So we want to take it from there and say thank you to all of you. And we want to call it a day because just 1 second for the researcher to round up and call it a day. We don't want to, increase our time here beyond necessary, but we'll go to our platform to continue. Thank you. So researcher, over to you. 1 second, and I mean 1 second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, my able performing director, I want to especially appreciate you. You can't, in fact, I don't know how to appreciate you enough, so to say. I want to also appreciate the previous director before you, and also our former vice chancellor for finding time to be here. In fact, he has made me know that I'm worth something, I mean, it's not easy to have attracted such a noble gentleman, such noble gentlemen and women here to listen to me. And I'm so grateful. I want to say that all your inputs, all your contributions will diligently be incorporated into this work. And remember, this is just a research question out of 4 of them that makes this whole research. So it's work in progress, and I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, no. Bye-bye.